backbenchers. I hope everything is going well with you all and I hope you all are fine. In today's video, we are going to be discussing about the part 2 of the lesson 2. We have already discussed about the part 1 of this particular lesson in the previous video. If you haven't seen the part 1, do not worry. I will put down the link for the part 1 in the description box. Also, I'll provide the link of the whole playlist in the description box so you can have the access of the whole playlist. Okay, let us start with today's portion. We have very small portion to discuss today and it is going to be a very known and fun interesting portion. And in today's portion we are going to be discussing about adaptations for controlling excess transpiration. I would like to apologize to you all for the background noise because it is raining heavily outside. I could not find any time for shooting the video. I was waiting for the whole time, but apparently it's rainy season, so the rain is not going to stop. Hence, there is nothing that I can do. So I would like to apologize for that. Also, I would like to apologize for my cracked voice. You see, I've got cold. That's why my voice is a little bit cracked. I hope that should not be a problem for you all to understand this amazing lesson. Okay, let us start with today's lesson. We have adaptations for controlling excess transpiration. This is our topic for today's portion. We have only this much to discuss today. Adaptations for controlling excess transpiration. Okay, first of all, let us understand what can happen if excess transpiration takes place. See, plants need transpiration. It is very important for plants to go through transpiration, to have the process of transpiration. But anything excess is not good. Similarly, anything excess, like excessive transpiration, is also not good. If there is excessive transpiration, then the plant will run out of water, and such excess amount of water will be needed for the plant to be absorbed again. So that is a disadvantage that is coming out of this whole thing. So to prevent this excess transpiration, a lot of adaptations are adapted by plants. A lot of adaptations. Adaptations, you can say precautions, we can say adaptations, or we can say precautions, that is to prevent certain prevent excess prevent excess of transpiration. So adaptations. Okay, adaptations, or we can say safety measures. Safety measures, that is prevention of excess transpiration. Now there are two types of adaptations. One is morphological and one is anatomical. Now see, whenever in science or anywhere you get these two terms, morphological morphological and anatomical, you have to be clear with one idea. Sorry, okay, wait. This highlighter is actually very hard to handle. Okay, let me use a different color. Probably the screen is going to look fine. Whenever you're going to find this term, morphological, it's not looking good, no? Okay, let me use something else as the color. Okay, this might work. Okay. Morphological and anatomical. Whenever you're going to find these two words, you have to be very specific with their meanings. Let me just mention the meanings of these two terms for you. First is morphological. Morphological means the structural study. The structural study. Morphology. Morphology. Just a second. Okay. Morphology means structural study. That means study which is based on shape, size, forms, etc. Study which is based on shape, size, forms, etc. Basically, morphology means the parts that we can see with our eyes. When we look at something, when we look at an object, whatever things we can see from outside, those things refer to as the morphology. Things we see from outside. In plants, what we can see from outside? We can see leaves, we can see flowers, we can see fruits, we can see stem, we can see branch, we can see all these things. But inside the plants, the cells, the tissues, we cannot see those things. So those things constitute the anatomy. The anatomy means the study of the internal thing of a particular organism. Morphological study. Morphological means whatever we can see, that is the structural study. And anatomical study, anatomy means internal study. Internal study of an organism. What are the things present inside an organism? What are the building blocks of an organism? All those things, to know details about all those things, are constituted in anatomical adaptations. So in anatomical adaptations, we cannot see a plant and we cannot see a plant and tell that what are the things present inside the plant. We have to read the book for that, and we have to keep in our mind that okay, so this is a plant, this is going to contain xylem and phloem, this is going to contain parenchyma cells, meristematic tissues. All these things are going to be present in plants. So these things cannot be seen from outside. Cannot be seen from outside. That's the basic difference between anatomy and morphology. Now, morphological adaptations means whatever adaptations are adapted by the outer structures of the plant. Adaptations that are taken by the leaves or the branches or the flowers. Anything present on the aerial parts, like the aerial parts, are above the ground parts of the plant. Let me write it here for you all. Aerial part means parts which are above the ground. I have already mentioned about aerial parts once, but since now I'm teaching it, so let me just say it again. Okay, wait, I'm sorry. Okay. Aerial parts mean parts above the ground. Morphological adaptations are going to involve adaptations in the adaptations of the aerial parts. Adaptations of the aerial parts of plant. And anatomical adaptations are going to be adaptations of the internal structures, internal cells, structures, tissues, internal cell structures and tissues of plants. So I hope you're clear with the idea of what are morphological adaptations and what are anatomical adaptations. Now we will look into these adaptations one by one. Okay, first we are beginning with morphological adaptations. First and foremost point is leaves may be modified into spines or needle-like structures. Some plants also have resin, mucilage, latex covering. Also have thick covering of all these things. Covering is going to be thick. I will write it here. I'll mention it here. Covering is going to be thick covering. Now, whenever the leaves of these plants uh, will be modified into these structures, then the surface area is going to reduce. And when the surface area is going to reduce, then transpiration is also going to reduce. Hence, they can prevent themselves from going through excess transpiration. Desert plants, these are cactus, xerophytes. Needle-like structures are basically present in xerophytes. See, needle-like structures are basically present in xerophytes. Xerophytes means cactus. And one example of spines I can give you all is pine tree. Pine tree. Pine tree is basically found in mountainous regions. So I can write it here that leaves with spines or needles reduce the surface area. Hence, transpiration is reduced. You all can say. Obviously, if the surface area is reduced, then transpiration will also be reduced. Hence, transpiration is reduced. Okay. Moving forward to the next point, we have leaves may be folded or rolled up, folded or rolled up, and leaves may be shed as in deciduous trees. Now, deciduous trees, though you all have a clear idea about deciduous trees because you have studied these deciduous trees in geography a lot of times. Deciduous trees basically mean trees that shed their leaves in a particular season. Trees that shed their leaves in a particular season. In a particular season. Those are known as deciduous trees. So if they shed their trees in a particular season, then transpiration will be completely avoided during that time. But you all might be asking that lenticels are also present. Yes, lenticels are present and they will perform transpiration, but maximum amount of excess transpiration can take place through the leaves and leaves only. So it's a very important point. And in some plants also you can see that the leaves are folded or rolled up. It's the same thing again. If the leaves are folded or rolled up, then also the surface area is going to decrease. Folded or rolled up leaves are going to reduce the surface area. Reduce the surface area for transpiration. Surface area for transpiration. Hence, excess transpiration can be prevented easily. Okay, I hope you have understood this portion. Now that was all about morphological adaptations. Next we have anatomical adaptations. We have only 4 points to discuss in anatomical adaptations. Okay, for the first point is leaves may have sunken stomata. Sunken stomata. It's a new term for you all. Sunken stomata. Sunken stomata basically means hidden stomata. Sunken stomata means hidden stomata. In some plants, what happens is their stomata is hidden. Hidden means stuffed. Stuffed with what? Stuffed with anything. Stuffed with, you can say, protein, stuffed with cuticle, stuffed with something. Or it can be covered with something. Or covered with, here it is shown covered with hairs. Hairs means it must be some sort of proteinaceous filaments. Proteinaceous filaments. See, you don't have to put much effort on this term right now, hairs. You don't have to put much uh, extra attention to this term. Just remember it. In the higher classes, when you will study about this chapter, you will have all the doubts cleared, all the queries cleared. But for the time being, all you have to know is sunken stomata means hidden stomata. That means it is either stuffed with something or it is covered with something. Covered with this sort of hair. Let me just not write this term because it is not right for you all. Okay. Hairs, it can be keratinized hair, proteinaceous hair, cuticle, cuticle. We can say cuticle. It is also a protein. Okay. So that was about the sunken stomata. If stomata is sunken, then what will happen? The area will be reduced. The area will be reduced. Again, the surface area is getting reduced. If the stomata is only blocked, then air cannot escape. Gaseous exchange cannot take place. So gaseous exchange is reduced. Reduced. That is all we can say. Next point is an extreme thick layer of cuticle develops on the epidermis of the plants. The cuticulous layer that is present on the leaves, it basically develops on the epidermis of the leaves, not plants, but plants have epidermis, so it is better to write leaves. Okay, so it might happen that the layer of the cuticle is very thick. If the layer of the cuticle is very thick, then cuticle is basically a waxy layer. I was discussing about cuticle in the previous video. It is a waxy layer, waxy coating, and its job is to just prevent water loss. It prevents water loss. Hence, if excess amount of cuticulus, like if it is very thick, then water cannot escape at all. Prevents water loss. Hence, that is also a point to prevent excess transpiration. Third point is shrubs or barks develop waterproof coating. Now, shrubs or barks basically contain lenticels. These two structures are the ones which contain lenticels. Lenticels are present on the bark of the trees. So if they develop a waterproof coating, then lenticels cannot help in transpiration. If a waterproof coating is given, then the lenticels will get blocked. Gaseous exchange will be stopped. Or we can say it will be reduced. Last but not the least, we have the leaf surface may develop a coating of cutinized hair or scales. Okay, very important point. This is the most different point of all the points. It might happen that the leaf surface may develop a coating of cutinized hair. This was cutinized hair. This hair was basically cutinized hair. Now it is clear to you all that sunken stomata can be covered with cutinized hair. So I will write it here, cutinized hair. Made up of cuticle. So the leaf surface may develop cutinized hairs or scales, which can prevent the excess transpiration to take place, because after all they are made up of cuticle only, and cuticle is basically a waxy coating which prevents water loss. Hence, excess transpiration will be prevented. Excess transpiration will be prevented. Okay, that was all about today's session, you guys. It was a very fun session, a very good session. I will agree to that. Any doubt from today's session, please do not forget, or please do not hesitate to mention it in the comment box. I'll be glad to see your doubts, because in the previous chapter also I did not receive any doubt. That was all about today's session. I hope you have understood this session well. If you have understood this session well, then please share it with your fellow backbenchers. Also subscribe to this channel for getting more such further updates and videos. Till then, stay happy, stay safe, take care, peace.